a temple is a place of worship. But that.
Hello, good morning. You are welcome to a great day, 2022, the long-awaited years. And a lot of us have had plans, we have dreams and aspirations. We trust in God that this year will be better than last year. You are welcome to me and you, Christian Relationship Foundation. Well, if you have been with us, you find out that we started the topic talking about family planning, because we understand that family is everybody's business. I want to especially welcome you to this edition. Take your barrel, take your paper, and let us plan the family together. Well, with me on this edition is Dr. Dow. Doctor, you are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for always coming to share thoughts with us. And starting this year, we know that if you plan your family, you have a great future. It's just that a lot of people don't like planning, because planning confide upon you the responsibility of the direction your family in the right direction. Now, a lot of people don't want to take responsibility. Actually, in life, it's responsibility that make you responsible. Without responsibility, you are irresponsible. One of the way of taking responsibility is planning. I want to read the Bible verse before I turn it over to the doctor, as we'll be talking to us about planning in many other areas. He's a vast man. He has been in this area for many years, for over 3 decades, and such a person is a privilege to have him speak to you on an issue that is as serious as family planning from that perspective. Now, I want us to look at what the Bible says. We read it in the book of Luke, chapter 14. I want to read just about 2 or 3 Bible verses that will help us to have a proper understanding. Luke 14, verse number 28, it said, "For which of you, intending to build a town, sitteth not down first and count the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? Lest it happen, after he has laid the foundation, and is not able to finish it, and all that behold it begin to mock him, saying, This man began to build, but was not able to finish it." Now, I talked about all that behold it begin to mock him. If there's anything that reduces a man in life, it's mockery. And it's not good for you to start a project without, first of all, planning. So a project, whatever thing you enter into that you don't have plan for, mockery will be your portion. I'm believing God this year, as you take a responsibility, you will not be mocked. Anything that will make you to be mocked, we reject it in Jesus' name. Before we say, okay, amen to that, we must take responsibility. Yes, doctor, we are looking at family planning, just like what we did last week. God bless you, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning, viewers. If we remember last week, we said that it looks like God set a foundation for planning, because God himself plans. And if we look at the scriptures that you read today, it means that everybody has a responsibility to plan and strategize, because the man that wants to build knows that this is the burden ahead of him, and has to look at his resources. Am I starting this year so that I won't stop halfway and things will mock me? And I tell you, the things that can mock someone are many. Because if you don't plan your family and issues come on you, many things will mock you. And that can actually bring us to what we should be talking about today, the benefits that we get as a family and as a society from family planning. Last week we had spoken about many different issues, many different ways that we can plan, and we have mentioned many of them. And all these ways, they have a benefit. The major benefit being that you are not just getting pregnant or giving birth to so many children that you cannot cater for. Remember, some people say that as long as you are born, God will provide for you. But God provides for you through your hard work and through what you do. And if your hard work and what you do is not able to cater for that large number, that is a problem.
It's a responsibility.
It's a responsibility. Yeah. So you must plan and strategize. And so in planning, let's bring it down to 1 year.
Okay.
In a year, for instance, you know that you have 365 days. How many days do you think, if you wanted to make a baby, how many days do you think
Out of that 365 is one baby you can make. Maybe you can make a baby just one day, or in a few days of when it is safe for you to have a baby. The rest 360 days or thereabout, you need to plan. Because if you don't plan and you meet your spouse, it means that you can get pregnant. So in that 365, you must plan. How do you plan? You will use any of the methods that we have enumerated for planning. Some people will learn to abstain. Some people will learn to understand their body,
Workings of
their body, so that they can, abstain when they need to abstain. Some people will use pills. Some people will go so that they can put a loop for them. Some people can have something inserted in their arm so they don't get pregnant when they don't need it. Some people can use a protection like condom. Now, each and every one of those methods have other benefits they have for the family. Now, the major benefit, that is aside from the fact that you are not having babies when you don't plan to have babies, is that the spouse and her consort, you and your spouse will be happy. You are no longer afraid. You are no longer worried that any acts of lovemaking is going to result into baby. And that will make for a very good and happy family. Another one is has to do with the resources of that family. If you in the verse that you read, who will not consider that this is my resource and this is what I want to achieve to end? So the resources of the family will not match the plans of the family for this year if you do not plan. The resources will certainly be much less than the plans of the family. And when that happens, a lot of things will mock you. It may not be human beings, but those things that you wanted to acquire that you cannot acquire, they will mock you.
Definitely.
Here am I, I'm a beautiful car, you can't have me.
That's mockery.
Here am I, I'm good health, you can't have me. Your child is sick, yes, hospital is there, you should carry the child, but because you have to use your money for something else, you will have to, the hospital will mock you. Everything that you need is going to mock you. So your resources, so one benefit is that your resources are going to match your plans. And anytime someone plans and his plans come true, it's so beautiful, it's a desire achieved, and the person is going to celebrate. Concerning resources, the other important non-contraception means, benefit of family planning will be the one to the community and to the country. To the community, you see, if this road was, if Abuja was planned for 1.4 million, and it is expected that the infrastructure will expand in a few years to accommodate 6 million. But if suddenly Abuja is 6 million and the infrastructure there was for 1 million or 1.4 million, you know what's going to happen. The roads will break down, the taps will no longer work, there will be no electricity, the schools will have 100 pupils instead of just 20, and you know what that means. There will be no enough teachers, there will be no enough doctors, there will be no enough other workers. So you are going to have a society that will degenerate into having a lot of criminals dealing with people who themselves are not satisfied and happy. In a small, you're supposed to reach home from work in 5 minutes, you're going to take 1 hour or 2 hours because the roads are bad. So that to the society is a terrible thing if you don't have that benefit of planning. But when you plan, whatever infrastructure is put there is going to last. It's not going to be overflowed. It's going to last. The same kind of benefit will accrue to the country at large. That the country can say, hey, let's have a long-term plan. Let's have a medium-term plan. And the country can work according to that plan because the country knows that in 10 years, this is how our population is going to increase. And we can handle it. In 30 years, this is how our population is going to increase. And we can handle it. Now, the other benefits, just to complete before we start discussing, is the medical benefits. Each of those family planning methods has some different medical benefits. For instance, if you are taking the pills, apart from stopping you from getting pregnant, they are likely to make your cycles regular, and you are not going to bleed too much, especially if you used to bleed too much.
Okay.
Or if your cycles were not regular and you're worried, it's going to make it regular, you're no longer going to worry. If you are using the condom, apart from preventing pregnancy, it's not likely that you have sexually transmissible diseases or some other kind of thing like that. If you are using the loop, maybe perhaps it's going to prevent one thing or the other also. It's going to help you. The endometrium is not going to overshed. It's not going to, you're not going to get the bleeding that you used to bleed too much also. If you are using some of the hormones you put under your arm, some may, since they are making you not to ovulate, some may also help you not to have diseases like pelvic inflammatory diseases and so on. You know, some other people, well, who are lucky, even things like asthma may improve and some other health benefits will come up. Now this is very, very important, and so it is very important that we plan so that we can have not just the number of children but also the other non-health benefits.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's wonderful. See what planning we do, not just for children alone, also many health benefits. You know, just like what we were saying, when we were talking, I was looking at some people, they believe that God has given it to us. We don't need to plan for it. So we should just go into the world and multiply. And having a lot of children. We see what is happening to our society today. I think that it comes because the families are not planning and they are leaving it for God. And I want to tell you that God is expert, because everything God gave to us, He gave it to us in raw material. Now, for us to enjoy the benefit, we also need a godly wisdom to have the refined product so that we can get the best of the raw material that God has given to us. So we need to plan. You must buy it according to what you have the capacity to swallow, because if you buy it more than you can swallow, then you are hooked. You are trapped. Now, what about benefit can somebody get from planning?
Now we have spoken the health benefits, and the fact that the couple is going to enjoy a good life, and the fact that the nation will be happy. Now every individual also has aspirations. The aspirations may be that this year I'm going to finish a school, this year I'm going to achieve a degree, this year I'm going to make money by doing one business or the other. Someone who is doing family planning will not have pregnancy interject into those plans.
Suddenly, not just come suddenly. Say we didn't know.
So that's the benefit. The person is going to achieve exactly what he has planned to achieve. You know, if you are a lady, for instance, and you had planned that, oh no, I have been doing a PhD, let me complete it this year. And suddenly you're pregnant and you begin to spit and to vomit and to feel sick. You cannot stand to do your work. You can't get up to sit up to complete your work. You see, you're not going to achieve it. So the other achievements of life can also be traced back to the fact that if you plan, it is it's very, very easy
for you,
to get your achievement.
Wow.
Yes.
So, okay. Now, if you plan, you know, another thing, you know, when we talk about the plan, there's something I was looking at. It's very important for those that are also coming, that those are married.
Yes.
Because those ones that are married, they're already having 40, 60 children. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yes.
The truth is that we just need to manage and cope and see how. But those people that are not married, the unmarried that are listening to us, it is very important for them to also recognize the wisdom of planning. They should be able to discuss.
Yes.
How many children do we tend to have?
Yes.
Those people, those that are married, should be able to discuss this kind of discussion. What do you think about that?
Yes. Because if you are unmarried and you're going to marry, say you are 30 years or 25 years, you know that, like I said at the beginning about having 365 days in a year, you know that up to before you reach 45, when the eggs must have been depleted so much that you're not likely to just get pregnant naturally, you may have 20 years, you may have 15 years to stay away from getting pregnant. If you remove the few years you need to get the number of babies you have both decided to have. So you should put it as a very fundamental discussion before That's why I put it as a fundamental discussion when I'm counseling young people.
Okay.
Before you marry, it's a fundamental discussion that family planning must come in. Because for 20 years, you are going to be protecting yourself from getting pregnant. Then that is not a small thing. It's a very, very serious thing. So it must be factored in. And when it's factored in, you are wiser if you begin to ask which kind, what type is the best for you. And also to achieve all the things that you need to achieve, you know that those planning is also part and parcel. So you must think about it. Now, for those who do not want to stick to maybe God's rules that they shouldn't, have sex before marriage, they too need to plan. Because if you do get pregnant before you marry, most times some people want to get rid of the pregnancy, which is another trouble that may come their way. So that doesn't worry you, if you have made up your mind not to obey, then you should plan so that you don't get pregnant, especially if you use those that we say have dual protection. They're going to protect you from getting pregnant, they're going to protect you from having diseases, maybe using like condom.
Okay.
You should use, even those who, engage in premarital sex. You should. If not, it will disturb your whole life. There are some organizations that when you are there, you're not supposed to get pregnant, maybe before 2 years. Some, they will not expect a pregnant woman because of the kind of tax they undertake. And so you will need to also plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, like for example, now say somebody listening to us, the unmarried. Now, there are a lot of unmarried girls, ladies.
Yes.
That are listening to us. So some of them, and not say all of them, some of them might even be using contraceptive that is made for the married couple in the name of protecting themselves. Are there side effects to it?
Not quite. If those contraception were products of counseling,
Okay.
if the family planning counselor has spoken with the person and guided the person to pick a decision of the one she will take, it's not going to be harmful, even if it's the type that married people are using.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what we advocate in Me and You Foundation is that abstain, just like what the Word of God said. The doctor has gone up just beyond that boundary and said, listen to me, even though you want to walk in disobedience, make sure you don't break the rule, because anytime you break this rule, it will break you in turn.
Yes,
now,
sir.
we'll have a lot of people today celebrating what is supposed to be shame, call themselves baby mama. Those days when somebody have a child outside wedlock, it's a shame to the family, it's a shame to her person, but these days they celebrate it. You have a lot of our young people that are going outside of the married log, trying to establish their own way, and it's making life difficult. Now, a child that only a woman raised has a way of behaving. A child that only a man raised has a way of behaving. You are not smarter than the Creator that gave us wisdom to live this life. Even the way your parents brought you into this life, you need to watch. What we are looking at is planning. Doctor, which other area will you want to come in when we talk about this planning?
Well, let me just first of all quickly talk about what you said before I come on another area in terms of family planning. To tell those who are not yet married that to plan to have a child in a usual normal family is a very great way of planning, rather than having a baby out of wedlock. Because the way God created it, there must be a father figure. Not that the father figure is just known to be a father, but a child must be raised in a family where every day the father figure is there. And that will help in another way. Just like if the mother figure isn't there, it is going to be very difficult for a survival and other aspects of the life of a child. It's the same way if the father figure is not there. So to plan in such a way that you don't get pregnant before you have a formal family where there is a father figure is a very a good way. I mean, it's a plus to your life. Now, the other aspects of family planning we'll talk about should be the one of the fact that there are too many experts around. Apart from the doctors, nurses, or those who administer the family planning after they duly counsel you and understand, there are so many people who claim to be experts and they can misguide you. These are the people who, without any study, will tell you that family planning causes this. You know, there are many myths around family planning, which is very, very wrong. Some of the myths are centered around the fact that the people do not understand their bodies very well. You know, especially some adolescents and young adults will misunderstand and even tell you that the time you are not going to get pregnant is when you have sex at a particular period. Meanwhile, that is exactly when they are going to get pregnant. What I'm trying to say is that people should listen to experts if they have issues. Some of the family planning methods we have discussed have features. Features like it is possible, for instance, that someone who puts a loop, you know, number one, loop can correct the amount of bleeding you are bleeding. But a few people can also have loop extend their bleeding maybe by a day or make it slightly heavier. Now, if you seek advice from someone who doesn't know, he will tell you that, you see, loop is bad. Maybe she wore loop or somebody wore loop and had a particular issue. Say, no, this loop is very, very bad. Don't try it. That is how it causes this to that person. Now, like I keep saying, that humans are different.
Yeah.
Just like somebody is David, another person is Ephraim.
Yeah.
So they are not exact. Just like our fingerprints are different, whether you bring 7 billion of us together, that is how our bodies are different. The same thing, maybe another person is taking pills, they will tell, pills makes people fat, or pills increase blood pressure. Now, you don't know whether you fall into that category or not. You do not also understand the advancement in the pruning of what pills should be like, so that the pills we have now probably will not cause that kind of side effect. But you took it off from another person. So let's reduce the people we contact for advice on family planning to the experts alone, not just everybody who will tell you everything. Now, by extension, it should not just be internet. It shouldn't be Google, because Google writes things and does not specify
generally. General information.
Yes. And see, if you write on family planning now, maybe you're not an expert, you just write on family planning and put on the internet, it will be on the internet. And when another person looks, the person will say, no, I saw it in the internet. That you saw it in the internet does not mean it's the right thing. So we should be careful with that.
All right. Instead of just getting to contact Google, go to the hospital. Don't just open your phone and go to Google. Also go to the hospital. The reason why you go to the hospital, what is the experience of B is not the same experience of A. So you need to go, contact your doctor, check what will be good for me. Now, another person must have taken that same pill and is having issue, but that might be what is okay for you. So no two persons is the same. So contact your doctor. Always seek professional advice. A lot of people come with different kinds of things. I don't know. There are some people, they just want to be Mr. Know-all. You know, they just want to sit down and offer solution. It's like, let me tell you this, when you are writing or reading something, if you don't meet the expert, it's like a 12-year-old girl writing about how to deliver. Now, that 12 years, maybe he learned to speak good English, he has attended school, he has read a book on biology, but he doesn't know the workings of delivery. Now, that child can write. Yes, go ahead. Now, talk is cheap. Anybody can say anything. I can as well come here now, what we are discussing now, maybe listen to him, instead of bringing him, I will just come and say some certain thing. It's a statement of fact. It's not true. Now, it's very important for us. That is why we decide to come with the expert in the studio. Dr. Da, I want you to do a little bit of your background. What is your experience in medicine, the area? Because I wanted to know who they are talking to and for how many years and why. Because see, let me tell you, 20, 30 years is not 30 days. And somebody that have been in this profession for that long is an authority in this area. So I want you to talk about yourself.
Well, I'm Dr. Da.
Yeah.
I'm an obstetrician and gynecologist and a reproductive health expert.
Okay.
I've been a doctor for 32 years.
Wow.
And my bias is the things to do with reproduction, things to do with delivery and the sickness of women.
Okay.
So that's why I call myself obstetrician.
Okay.
Someone who deals with pregnancy and delivery issues.
Wow.
And gynecologist, someone who deals with the sicknesses specific to women. So that's who I am.
Wow. 32 years experience.
I've done programming
Yeah.
I train trainers in family planning.
Wow.
I've done programming in reproductive health.
Wow.
And written articles on reproductive health and so on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. We really appreciate your presence here. Viewers, I want you to know, just like what Dr. Das said, it's good for you to consult your doctor. Why are we talking about it at the beginning of the year, January? Because January, actually, I call it the month of preparing for the journey of 12 months. So in this year, in this January, you need to write down. If you are a young man there, you are not married, begin to think about, family planning, how to plan your family, why you must prepare for war at the time of peace. Now, as a doctor, if a young man is going to marry, what are the things you will, recommend that the young person should check before getting to marry? Understanding what is happening in our society today, a lot of things, because I was discussing with somebody yesterday, and he told me that the girl he married, he did not know the girl has HIV, and the girl knows she has HIV, he never told him. Now, this is after 8 months into marriage, now find out that she had a problem. They went to the hospital, and from the hospital they said they now brought them to counseling, and the guy was shocked. Now, shocked that the woman was not even shocked, although he was trying to pretend to. Later they investigated that the woman has been on drugs without him knowing. Even while they are in the same house, he was shocked. Now that marriage is shaking because he believed that he tricked him into doing something that he wouldn't have, or he would have allowed him to take his decision. He said he asked the woman, when do you discover you had this? After this incident, say it was 5 weeks to their wedding. But why did you not tell me? He said he was afraid. I said, okay, what if you have come now? What do you do?
Well, in formal settings, where a guy sees a lady and wants to marry her, goes to her people, her parents, and asks for a hand in the company of his relations, and there is a counseling, and then certain things are required of them, and then they are likely, if in that kind of formal setting, for those who decide to marry and follow the formal and regular way, most times the pastors or the clergy demand that they carry out tests on their bodies to see if there is something wrong. Now, this is not a bad thing. It is a good thing. Number one, they want to find out.
Sorry, doctor. It's also a part of planning.
It's part of planning.
So that you are planning your health.
Yes.
You are knowing exactly so that you know. Because nobody
it's a good planning for the family.
For the family, because you
so
want
that
to
they don't
know,
get into trouble.
Yes, so that you prepare for where you are going.
If for instance there is HIV, then we should be careful how the child to be born does not have HIV, which is going to be an additional burden to the family. So that the experts will be contacted and they know what to do, in caring for the pregnancy and the delivery, in such a way that the baby should not have HIV. That's a good way to, it's a good way of planning a family. But usually they will ask that you check, are there sexually transmissible diseases? Are there diseases in the blood? Many of them, or some of them, can be treated, so that before consummation, treatment is completed. If there are gonorrhea, there are syphilis, there are chlamydia, there are others. If they are found in the urine of the man, or the urine or the swab of the woman, then they can be treated before there is consummation. So nobody passes that to another person, and that burden of disease is not also carried into the pregnancy to eat from the resources of the young couple. So if that is done, usually they will treat the diseases and they won't have that burden.
Okay.
There are other diseases like HIV, which may not go immediately, but it is possible they will suppress it enough and give the person some tips on how to live a healthy life and so that when a baby comes out of the union, they know how to protect the baby from getting into trouble.
Okay.
Other diseases like maybe hepatitis B, if one of the spouses has it, it is a red flag, so that you can now tell the other spouse, perhaps before consummation, we can give you vaccine against the hepatitis. So you see, you protect yourself even before it happens. I think it's a good practice that the religious bodies do to ask that people should check themselves, you know. So that health-wise, that is what people need to check.
Okay.
You know, well, turning away from health, we need to go back to that family planning thing we are talking. Economic-wise, I think any couple who are trying to marry should be honest and also check their resources. At your present stage of earning 50,000, and maybe the other couple, the other person earning 30,000, you should check. If a baby comes into a union that has 80,000 per month, how do we survive? You know, that can also inform, should you rent a house in a highbrow area, or should you just respect yourself and go to where you can be accommodated? Should you rent a 4-bedroom duplex?
Or should you just... I like what you said. Should just respect yourself. Don't become a burden to yourself, because your lack of preparation should not become emergency for somebody else. So I like that word, respect yourself. Please go on.
So unmarried couples should also prepare in the terms of their resources. They should prepare in the terms of their future. What do they want to do? How do they, most times those who are marrying, I expect that each and everyone can improve his education. How do they plan to improve their education? That should be factored in. The education of the woman, the education of the man.
Yeah, create more value to bring something better to the family.
To the family and to the society.
Yeah.
What you bring to the family may not be the immediate. Sometimes, yes, it can make you have more money to train your children, but also later in life, it can be a legacy for the children. Oh, are you this? Ah, your father is a great person. Just that can open doors for him, you know, wherever he goes.
Okay.
So those are things young couples should look into before they marry.
Okay. You know, when we just talk about what the young couple should do, talking about checking of hepatitis B, knowing your health status, is very important. It's also part of planning. Now, the other area I want to know, like for example, the blood group.
Yes.
You know, sometimes, you know, there was a time I was not in my office, a lady, fine young lady and fine young man walked into my office, and the other one said that they just married. I said, okay, they came for counseling, and the other one said it's AS, and the other one said it's AS, and I said, who joined you? I said, who have done this? So I said, they were looking at me. I said, see, there's no business, you have no business, both of you, marrying yourself. So I was wondering whether what I did was it the right thing medically?
Okay, medically speaking, well, you should advise the people whose genotypes is likely to produce a sickler. Because if they marry and they produce a sickler, at the present stage of knowledge and availability of resources, it's possible that half of their life and half of their resources and half of their emotions will be spent in the hospital trying to take care of a child that is a sickler, and the child himself will not be happy. So they should be counseled counsel around it. I think counseling should be to let someone know that this is a possibility.
Yeah.
And if the love they have can carry them through, they may decide to do that. I know that new things are coming where there is bone marrow transplant to make the person not to be producing sicklers. There is also pre-implantation genetic testing to find out whether the baby being produced is sickler before the baby is even put in the womb to grow as a pregnancy.
Wow.
That can actually help if they have the resources.
Now, if they
they should be counseled if they have the resources. So they should be counseled. Things like blood group, on a general note, there is no problem. But if the blood group, for instance, is different, one is A, one is O, one is AB, one is B, one is A, perhaps the consequence may be the child born in the early days may have jaundice that is resultant from the discordance, but that's a mild thing. If the person is rhesus negative, it should be behind their mind that whenever she gets pregnant and delivers, if the husband is positive, then we're going to give her some injection to prevent the next child from getting into trouble. So all those things, we usually check them, and people should be careful.
Well, information is the basis for transformation. You know, when I go with this great men like this, I learn a lot of things, but I always believe that prevention is better than cure. Love is not blind. You know what he just said? That means you need to have some money. You know what I recommend that those people should do? I said they should go and deposit 32 million and come back for counseling. That was what I asked them to do. I said, oh boy, you see, this is your love. Well, you have to sponsor. This love is cash. This is not love. This one, love doesn't cover this challenge. Yeah. You know, I believe that many of this information, just like we are privileged to hear from the Dr. Dad today, they are there to help you make the right decision. Remember, he talked about mockery. None of us will want. I don't pray that for my enemy, for you to marry in the name of finding the love, and spend all your life in the hospital. Going from even the people that does not go to hospitals, spend their resources, stay there almost all their day, still have issue with life. Talk less of having to understand this. Listen to me. Love is not blind. Love can see. God expects us to gather this information. Thank God for the privilege of having Dr. Dad in the studio. I believe you have learned one or two things to be able to help you. You know what he has said? Go for screening. Check. Somebody having HIV, AIDS on the death sentence. What we are saying, don't place somebody into marrying you because you have it. Let the person know. Now, going for checkup does not also mean that when doctor tells you, oh, you have this, that is for you to, you know, that marriage cannot hold. No, it's for you to know the weight of what you are carrying. Is better because when you are informed and you make an informed decision, it gives you peace, it gives you confidence, it gives you boldness, it makes you know how you are prepared for the journey. A journey not prepared for is very difficult. Do you know, just like when I left my house this morning, I didn't plan to stay 3 days out of the house. But if I plan to stay 3 days out of the house, wherever I'm going, I will have peace of mind, and the house I left, they will have rest of mind. Yes. But if you didn't prepare and you are taking to come on now and go for a journey you never prepared for, do you know what happened to you? You are going to have issue all the way. Well, Dr. Da, it's time for us to leave the studio. I wanted to say just one or two things before we call it.
Yes, you know, we've mentioned what family plannings can benefit the community, and the responsibility that the community should have in planning. The same thing, because family planning benefits the country, the resources are made to match the population. Then the people listening to us, there are policymakers. I just want to say that when money is budgeted for family planning, they should release it on time. And they should release the whole money. And they should not hold it, because it has a great impact on the country, which you may not see now.
Well, I want to thank you for coming, and by the grace of God, I believe you are going to come back again, and we are going to talk about how does it benefit the Lion Society. And those of you that are maybe in position of authority, you are holding this money, please let it go. You brought nothing to this world, and for sure, you are taking nothing out of the world. Just do the right thing. There's no better than doing the right thing than now. But this is Reverend Simon Asamota on Family Life. I want to thank you for tuning in. For further information, our to be coming on television, please get the number, contact us. We want to be a part of what we are doing. Until see you again in our next edition, God bless you. Bye bye. Thank you for being a part of the program today.